some benefits that are going to come with NAM, but also not forget the two-side events where we have the business forum that will be kicking off today at Serena, women in agro-business at Serena Chigo. So there are also opportunities. So I'm more excited. But above all, one important thing, during this summit, the countries have to declare themselves on the situation between Israel and Palestine. So that declaration is what I'm waiting for, eagerly waiting for.
And of course, that is what you should be expecting here the entire week. The theme, though, for this particular summit, that is the 19th. Of course, this particular one is aiming to see that every member country is part of this particular partnership. But not only that, by the way, there is also the third South Summit that is having the theme leaving no one behind. That particular one will be running at the Kampala Serena Hotel, and of course we shall be able to give you all the details coming in from that side, as well as we make sure that you're inspired and you're getting the right information right from where you're catching us from. But as of now, we do take a short break. When we return, we do have our newsreel, a conversation that will be definitely coming up shortly after our inspirational song of the day. Good morning.
Uganda Nujinyo, the pearl of Africa, the land of beauty, good people everywhere. Uganda Nujinyo, the pearl of Africa, the land of beauty, good people everywhere. Setaka kenda bunaira, nganzali wa musenu jebengera. Uganda siyange njagala, erimwe ebirungi ebyegombesa. Tunulira ebyobulambuzi, tulina bingi ebisikiriza. Bwetuukako mu west, notunulira. Nogendako mu east, notunulira. Bw'otuukako eyo mu northern Uganda, ojja kuvaayo weewuunya. Is the pearl of Uganda Nujinyo, the pearl of Africa, the land of beauty, good people everywhere.
Topic of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Founding of NAM. The non-aligned movement emerged in 1961 during the Belgrade Conference in Yugoslavia, a historic event that marked the coming together of leaders from newly independent nations seeking to navigate the complex geopolitical landscape of the Cold War. As a response, NAM aimed to provide a platform for countries to assert their autonomy without aligning with either superpower.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and today is a special day here on Good Morning Uganda, and of course in the country Uganda as a whole. Today we get to host the Non-Aligned Movement Summit here in Uganda, and this summit comprises of about 120 member states. Today Uganda gets to host the summit, and also we will be able to choose a new leader today that will be heading the summit for the next few years. Well, today we also have to have a discussion regarding security in our country, but of course we know that the government has done its best as far as the summit is concerned, and of course the G77 plus China summit that will be starting next week. The government has done its level best to ensure that there is security in the country. But speaking of security, we also have a team from the Uganda Joint Christian Council that also want to speak more about security. But the main focus here will be prevention of the proliferation and misuse of small arms and light weapons in Uganda. Now I'm joined by Right Reverend Archimandrite Constantine Bonabinji, the Executive Secretary for the Uganda Joint Christian Council, and also Mr. Chitoro William, Head of Department of Human Rights and Good Governance, Uganda Joint Christian Council. You're welcome to Good Morning Uganda.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are glad to have you. And I'll start with you, Right Reverend Bonabinji. I would like to know more about the Uganda Joint Christian Council before we move forward.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you, viewers, and all the people around. Uganda Joint Christian Council, UJCC, comprises of 3 churches: the Anglican Church or Church of Uganda, the Catholic Church, and Uganda Orthodox Church. It was formed in 1963. It is very old. It was formed in 1963 on the 30th of August. So last year, on the 30th of August, we celebrated 60 years. And then you might ask, why was it formed? You know, when you go to the history of Uganda, you find that religions or denominations were fighting each other. But then in 1963, the 3 archbishops, the Archbishop of the Orthodox Church, Theodoros Nanchama, His Eminence Theodoros Nanchama, the Archbishop of the Catholic Church, Chwanuka, His Grace Chwanuka, then His Grace Leslie of the Anglican Church sat down and said, no, enough is enough for fighting. Now we should start, we should unite and start on developing our Christians. So in 1963, it was formed. And we have a lot of activities we do. We don't only preach, we don't only tell people about the Bible, but we also talk about issues which affect our country. We talk about issues which affect the whole the whole of Africa. For instance, today we are going to talk about the proliferation of small arms in the Great Lakes and Horn of Africa. Because when our neighbor is affected, we are also affected. You know what's happening in the eastern part of Congo, what has been happening in southern Sudan, what is happening in Ethiopia with Tigray, and other small arms which come from Kenya, through Karamoja and Somalia. All those we talk about such issues. So, in summary, that's what I can talk about Uganda Joint Christian Council.
Okay. Now, still on Uganda Joint Christian Council, what would you say is your main mandate?
First of all, our own mandate is ecumenical. We don't want this kind of separation. We want us to be one. That's one thing. Two, we want to fight, another issue is that we want to fight the common enemy when we are united. What do I mean by this? For instance, if we have the issue of disease in the country, we have to unite and fight it together. Because there is no AIDS for a Catholic, there is no AIDS for an Anglican or whatever. It attacks one person, all of us. For instance, when it comes to good governance, when there is no peace in the country, all of us are affected. Then when it comes to, for instance, humanitarian support, everything, we take care of the whole of the humanity. And that's why in 1963, when the archbishops formed the Uganda Joint Christian Council, said one of the most important things they wrote down was that wherever you will put a church, make sure that there is a clinic and a school. And that's how you find that most of the schools, clinics, and schools, clinics, and churches, wherever you will see a church, there is a clinic, or a hospital, or a church,
or a school.
Or a school,
yes.
In order to take care of the whole humanity, not only to preach Hail Mary or Our Father without taking care of the body.
Ah, okay. So you give spiritual and also give mental support to the community.
Yeah, and healthy. And mostly when you look at the healthy, we have done a lot. When you see education, you can tell that most of those people, the great academicians of this country and everywhere, have passed through church-founded schools.
Yeah. I agree. Actually, some people like to call them the Ivy League schools in the country.
That's it.
All right. So, Mr. Chitoro William, you are the head of Department of Human Rights and Good Governance at the Uganda Joint Christian Council. Now, today, since we are speaking about the proliferation of small arms or the use of or the misuse of small arms and light weapons in the country, someone out there may be wondering, why is the church interested in a subject of this nature? Tell us about the background and how you came to want to and how you picked interest in an issue like this.
Thank you very much, Olive, for inviting us here, and good morning, our viewers. The church has been at the forefront in increasing awareness on so many issues and advocating for so many issues affecting humanity. We very well know that Uganda Joint Christian Council is a voice for the voiceless. It is an advocacy organization. The issue of small arms and light weapons has a background right from 2004, when the National Action Plan on Small Arms and Light Weapons was set up. And under that action plan, UJCC played a very, very leading role together with government to see how to come out with solutions on how to end the effects of small arms and light weapons. In 2004, that's when the national focal point on small arms and light weapons was set up. Before that, UGCC held a regional consultation workshop together with government, where all civil society organizations, ministries, departments, and agencies of the government were invited so as to find out what are those effects affecting our people and how can the small arms and light weapons be eradicated in our country. We very well know that Uganda is a signatory to international agreements and regional agreements, such as the United Nations Program for Action, the Nairobi Declaration on the Control of Illicit Trade in Small Arms and Light Weapons, as well as the Nairobi Protocol. But we realize that if civil society organizations, faith-based organizations do not work hand in hand with government to increase awareness about the dangers of the effects of small arms and light weapons, our people will be greatly affected. We have seen so many issues coming out because of the misuse of those arms, and it has retarded development in so many areas. When you go to Karamoja and the Albertine region, the Rwenzori region, so many of our people have been affected because they cannot be able to take part in social and economic development because of the effects of small arms and light weapons. So the church, together with government and other responsible agencies, must work hand in hand to see that our people are not affected by the effects of small arms and light weapons. So basically, right from 2004, faith-based organizations, with in particular reference to Uganda Joint Christian Council, have been taking a leading role, not only in issues of human rights, but issues of security, to see that we work hand in hand to have a safe and secure Uganda.
Okay. Yeah. Now, when we speak about small arms and light weapons, can we classify which ones these are? Because someone may be thinking that probably an AK-47 is a light weapon.
Actually, small arms and light weapons basically range from revolvers, so long as they are held by not more than 3 people. Even an AK-47, in terms of security, is regarded as a small arm.
Oh.
Yeah, but the difference comes now in those heavy tanks and the machine guns. So basically, what our public doesn't know is that even an AK-47 is a small arm, so long as it can be lifted by somebody and it causes havoc to a neighbor or somebody else. Yeah.
So how has Uganda and other countries in the Great Lakes region been affected by the use or misuse of small arms and light weapons?
Yeah, I can come in there. You know, when you look at the history of Uganda from 1965, let me go, 1966, when the Lubiri was attacked, they were using these small arms. Then from there you come to the Mtukula War of 1971. Then from there you come to 1979, the Amini War. Then in 1980, the present one, I can call it the present one, which brought the present regime to the government. Then you have had in 1996, the ADF. We have had those in the Rwenzori region. You have heard of Toroko. All those guns, when you look at that history, all those guns which were being used, where are they? Or those which have been used? Is there a program within the government whereby they say, we are following up on the guns which were used in 1971, or those which were used by Amin in 1979? Where did they go? Then, what about those of 1980? Those of Obote, which Obote had, where did they go? Then these ones of ADF. Just recently, you remember when they got the youth, young in Toroko.
Yes.
They were with guns. So even machetes. Where did they get those things, those guns? We have been affected Uganda has been affected very much by those guns. You go to the guns which have been coming from Karamoja. And then this brings in the point of the radicalization of the youth. You know, youth are vulnerable because they don't have what to do. But the rate at which our jobs are increasing is still low. And so our youth are sometimes deceived by politicians, by people with their own selfish motives. And guns are available everywhere. And so they arm these youth, and we have lost a lot of youth. You remember what happened in the Bundubuju side?
Yes.
A lot of youth, just youth who have been deceived. So, can we look for a way of making sure that these guns really are reduced? For instance, I hear that Somalia is going to be part of East Africa, East African community. And you know, with Somalia with the guns. What is the plan of our government now to make sure that those guns which are in Somalia do not cross through Kenya and then come to us? You are hearing always of people who have been gunned down. So and so has been killed by unknown gunman. A certain trader from Kasita or from where, Kampala, has been gunned by unknown gunman. Where are these guns? How can we get those guns away from the people? Why is it that the people who are not supposed to be with guns are with them? So it is our concern. It is not affecting you, it is not affecting only this one. All of us are affected. Today you will hear that so-and-so was attacked last night and was gunned down. And
just recently we had a pastor that was whose driver was gunned down, and the pastor survived.
Who gunned him down? Where is that gun? Was it registered? If it was registered, who was the owner of that gun? Those are the things we are trying to say. Please, we have a lot of problems. We have a lot of issues. We have a lot of things which are killing us. These guns should not continue killing people. That's the core of UJCC. These guns should not continue killing people. We should look for a way of make sure that we reduce these small arms from people. Government should do much, and we, you know, when we talk about the government, we point a finger at the high-ranking officers or whatever. No, even you as a Christian, even you as a responsible citizen of Uganda should take care of your security. Let the police help you, and you also help yourself. If there is someone with an illegal gun, if you see a neighbor with a gun, why should he be with a gun?
So now, since the church is working hand in hand with government, and by the church here, I will put emphasis on the Uganda Joint Christian Council. Since the Uganda Joint Christian Council is working hand in hand with the government to ensure that it takes down the misuse of small arms and light weapons, what are some of the suggestions that the Uganda Joint Christian Council has given to government in accordance to this?
Thank you, Olive. As said earlier, Uganda Joint Christian Council has been engaging government on several fronts. One thing that we realized when we discovered that the issue of small arms and light weapons is affecting our people was the lack of adequate knowledge and capacity, especially on our people in the security forces and our communities. UJCC, as an advocacy organization, holds seminars so as to increase knowledge on the dangers of small arms and light weapons. UJCC has come up with the collaboration mechanisms, not only with the government, but with other member states in the Great Lakes region and Horn of Africa. We very well know that the Great Lakes region and Horn of Africa has been affected by a lot of small arms and light weapons effects. So what we basically do, we engage government, we carry out seminars to sensitize the public on how to control small arms and light weapons. We also engage with other faith-based organizations and CBOs to see that we work hand in hand to reduce what is affecting our people in Uganda and the Great Lakes region. We cannot say that we are doing this alone, because this is an issue, as Father said, which affects everybody, including the government, the religious leaders, the community leaders, including you, the media. Because you cannot be safe when you are traveling to UBC at 4 a.m. and you have a show and you are scared about your security because of the high number of small arms and weapons which are out there. We engage government on proper licensing methods so that people know that for you to have a gun, you have to follow the proper procedure under the Firearms Act for it to be registered annually, and not everybody is entitled to a small arm. Stringent measures have to put in place to see that you are a person who really has the ability and capacity to hold a gun. So we continue engaging government on a daily basis in all our programs, and in our strategic plan, which we have ensured that the issue of security should not be left alone to government. We as civil society also have to work hand in hand to see that we are in a harmonious society. So we continue having those trainings, seminars, lobby and advocacy sessions, as well as participation in international and regional conferences to see that we have a continuous decrease in the misuse of small arms and light weapons.
Thank you so much. Now, the Right Reverend mentioned that there is radicalization of youth who are unemployed, the unemployed youth. So what I would like now, the focus is on the church. And how best are you ensuring that the youth are engaged? You know, the Bible says that an idle's mind is the devil's workshop, right? So now that we know that we have more youth than the jobs in the country, how are we ensuring as the church that the youth are engaged and that they are also given enough information to know that some people are out there to get them for terrible intentions?
Yeah, okay, thank you. You know, when you, before even this issue of radicalization came in, the church had already foreseen that the rate at which people are producing in Uganda is very high. Very high. We produce every weekend. Now, the issue, we said, okay, the kind of education we have been given mostly has not helped us very much. Has not helped us very much because, you know, for instance, some of the schools have been giving us subjects which cannot help. You talk about problems of New York, you are here in Uganda. You solve problems of New York, you have not even solved your own problems.
You're still studying about Canadian prairies.
The Canadian prairies. No, we said no. We said we should give skills. That's why you find that in most dioceses, we have technical schools. Such that when someone finishes P7 or Senior 4 and cannot go to the university or to other institutions of learning, we divert them to skills, hands-on. So we have opened up technical schools. We have opened up lessons for the youth. Mostly now we have youth seminars in most of our dioceses. And we have the youth. We have focused very much on the youth in order to let them know that they should not continue being job seekers, but they should be job creators. And my brother here was talking about other organizations we are working with. We are working with an organization called FECLAHA. FECLAHA is Fellowship of Castles and Churches in the Great Lakes of Africa and Horn of Africa. So it has also the youth program.
Well, thank
There
you
are a
so
lot of
much.
things we can talk about what we are doing for the youth in order for them not to be radicalized, because we have lost the people who would help, who would be the future of our countries.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda. That's all that we could afford to have a conversation regarding the misuse of small arms and light weapons in the country. We have a lot more coming your way, but for now, I'll say goodbye to the Right Reverend Archimandrite Constantine Mbonabingi and Mr. William Chitoro from the Uganda Joint Christian Council. My name is Olive Monica Najuma. Stick with us. We have a lot more coming your way.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Founding of NAM. The non-aligned movement emerged in 1961 during the Belgrade Conference in Yugoslavia, a historic event that marks the coming together of leaders from newly independent nations seeking to navigate the complex geopolitical landscape of the Cold War. As a response, NAM aimed to provide a platform for countries to assert their autonomy without aligning with either superpower. Support to the United Nations. The non-aligned movement consistently supported the United Nations as a platform for addressing global issues. The movement emphasizes the importance of multilateralism
parts are beautiful, like the northern part, but here the beauty is awesome. And today we dwell into Queen Elizabeth National Park. Yes, Queen Elizabeth National Park is commonly known for the Kazinga Channel, the mass wildlife species that are there, the tree climbing lions in Shasha, but today we specifically talk about Chambura Gorge, the one that you're seeing on your screen. This is a forest in a Savannah National Park that is encased into caves, into cliffs. Like you see, it is underground. It is an underground forest in a river-like trail, and it is a home to chimps. Like in Uganda, we know that Uganda has the largest population of chimps in the whole world, but part of the chimps stay in or call Chambura Gorge their habitat. Like when you go to Chambura, there are about 5 reasons why you need to visit this place. First of all, the chimps. Like you cannot fail to see the chimps if you go and trek into this underground forest in the gorge. The beautiful scenery here, you cannot find it anywhere else. Just imagine a forest, like a thick forest, just in the middle of savanna grasslands, and then it has cliffs on each side. Like, it is amazing. But the birds also, the place is a home to like hundreds of bird species, and if you're a bird and you just want to delve deeper into Uganda's birds, Chambura Gorge is a place for you. We also talk about the biodiversity here. It has over 13 habitats, and you talk about the swamps, the river, the forest, the bogs, the shrubs. Like, it is an habitat for so many fauna and flora. Like, you just need to be here if you want to see the butterflies, those beautiful birds, insects, see different plant species. A lot is there. But we can also talk about getting close to nature, because if you want to relax, or if you want to take off that work stress, you just want to rest and watch the beautiful sceneries and just get so close to nature, this is the place, because you wake up to beautiful sounds of birds, you wake up to beautiful quacks of chimps, you wake up to butterflies in your face. Like, it is an amazing place to go. Well, that is what we had for you from the southwestern region of the country. And briefly, we take you through Kampala, capital city. And you know, this is the capital city of the country, and that is the center of the country's economics. You could think that there is no tourism, but a lot waits for you in Kampala city. If you have a day just to explore Uganda, you can visit so many places around Kampala city, and each being so, the proximity or the location being so close to the airport or in Entebbe, it becomes very easy for you. Like, just a day is perfect for you. In Kampala, you can visit the Gaddafi Mosque. This is Uganda's largest mosque, and also the largest mosque in East Africa, second largest in Africa, after the Moroccan mosque in Morocco. You can visit the National Museum. Like, almost all Uganda's history dwells here. Do you want to know all the background and the history of the country? It is in Kampala at the National Museum. You can visit the markets. We have St. Bali Kudembe Market. Like, this place, you cannot fail to get anything that you want to know, anything that you want to buy, from clothes to food, everything. Uganda is called the basket, the fruit basket of Africa. Like, almost all fruits in Africa can be found in Uganda. And our markets here in the central part in Kampala have almost all fruits. Then you can talk about the Chibuli Mosque. You can talk about the Kabaka's Palace, that is the Buganda Palace. You have the Royal Mile Walk. You get to dive into the depths of Buganda's culture. You can talk about the craft markets. You want to buy souvenirs to carry back to your home. The souvenirs, we have them in different craft markets that we have in Kampala, at Buganda Road and National Theatre. We have the monuments here, and one of them that you cannot miss is the Independence Monument, to get you to the story about how Uganda got its independence. Well, that is what we had for you about Kampala tourism. And for the travel tip that we have today, as you're driving or exploring Uganda, please and please capture memories. Use your smartphone, use your good camera, and capture memories to take back home, to show off that, yes, I was in the Pearl of Africa. Thank you so much. I am Irene Alena Misango. Catch you tomorrow.
Many thanks for sticking around to Good Morning Uganda. You're Sonko here for the Good Morning Uganda business updates of the day. Of course, earlier on I did mention something to do with the third South Summit. Now, this particular one, when you look at it, it will be happening immediately after the NAM. And of course, well, of course, earlier on I did mention something to do with the third South Summit. Now, this particular one will be happening immediately after the NAM Summit of on the 20th, because the NAM Summit that does kick off today, 15th of January, and of course by the 20th it will be done. But under the third South Summit, we do have the East African Business Forum. Now, this particular one, under the theme of the third South Summit, that is leaving no one behind, is looking at attracting potentials for the East African trade and investment. And of course, when you look at the fact that in Kampala, the 134 member states that will be reiterating the message of solidarity, unity, and complementary of the South, and of course the common goals and objectives that they do have. Now, at the Kampala Serena Hotel, we shall as well be having the East African Business Forum and Trade Exhibition. Now, this stands as a pivotal part of propelling East Africa onto the global stage from January 15th to 17th. So January 15th is today to the 17th of January, which is Wednesday. Now, looking at it in the same situation, this is looking at capitalizing the opportunities or within the region's potential to attract traders, as well as giving room for everybody in the world of investment to tap into the potentials. And the most interesting part of this particular one is the fact that we also have an exhibition. Now, this particular trade exhibition is likely to showcase what the business community within the East African region has to offer. Many players within the private sector are to take part in this particular business forum. And not only that, we do expect quite a number of business ideas being pitched onto potential investors. And also, when you look at the fact that this platform provides the Global South with unparalleled opportunities for knowledge, for the knowledge exchange, and not only that, collaboration and transformative growth in the same regard. And that is why you could definitely see why the business community is highly expecting to get more from this particular forum. And of course, when we speak of this particular forum as well, there's an element of collaboration, and then there's also transformative growth, as Uganda, which is famously known to be a welcoming country in regards to business, and of course in regards to security. In such a time when the NAM Summit is here as well, you get to realize that it's high time the business people set their goals right, or their priorities right, to see how best they can easily tap into the opportunities that are going to arise. First, from the East African Business Forum that kicks off today at the Kampala Serena Hotel. And of course, this is also under the third South Summit, which is under the theme of leaving no one behind. And of course, in business, in regards to the changes that are coming up, you're definitely not supposed to be leaving anyone behind. And as a business person, you're supposed to be capitalizing on every opportunity that comes your way. And well, besides that, now let's talk the hotel industry or the hotel business. How prepared are the hotels ahead of NAM, or how prepared are they to take charge in this particular week in regards to the summit that kicks off today? Looking at how peaceful, and let's say, the country is, or how peaceful the surrounding environments are in regards to some of the hotels. The footage you're actually having is the Sheraton Hotel, one of those as well. We expect other of the delegates to be at the 4 Points by Sheraton as well. Looking at other hotels within Kampala, Skies Hotel, you look at the Speak Resort Munyonyo, these are all the hotels, because when you look at the hotels that were identified to host the delegates of the Non-Aligned Movement and G77 Plus China Summit, the advanced teams are already arriving. Others already arrived in the country to prepare for the top VIPs or the top officials as well, in order to make sure that they fit in and get the best treat from the best hotels within the country. Now, the Skies Hotel Naguru, which is also part of those particular hotels that will as well host these particular delegates that are taking place, or that are taking part of this particular summit. Not only that, the Kampala Serena Hotel, I'm mentioning that, also adding the Speak Resort in Munyonyo. Now, from the security to food, water safety, obviously these are some of the key things that are being looked at as we are heading into the summit that kicks off today. But of course, we will definitely be here to make sure that we give you all the details of what is happening in that particular regard, and how businesses within Kampala are coping up as the summit is kicking off. Because remember, there's a lot of traffic diversions here and there, and of course we shall be definitely trying to build up for you to see how you can maneuver through this entire week, and how any business person can capitalize from any opportunity that arises. But before that, let's first of all get into our Forex update of the day to see how the Forex market is faring as you go out there to exchange some currencies. Was opening at 3,794.88 while selling at 3,804.88. That was then looking at the Great Britain pound, buying closing time, so buying at 4,845.93 while selling at 4,858.70. Then the euro was buying at 4,165.10 while selling at 4,176.06. Then looking at the Kenyan shilling, was buying at 23.79 while selling at 23.85. The Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.50 while selling at 1.51. Then the South African rand was buying at 204.36 while selling at 204.90. And of course, that is how you will definitely find the Forex market as of business this morning, and you'll definitely be in the same kind of situation. But as of now, let's get into our traffic updates with Olive Monica Najuma.
My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and as Uganda jeers and gets ready for the Non-Aligned Movement Summit that is starting today up until the end of the week, we'd like to look at how this is affecting the traffic situation in the country. Now, as some of you have already seen, we have traffic diversions that have already been announced by the Uganda Police Force and other security agencies, and I would like to reshare these for you in case you didn't have any idea about them. Now, traffic diversions ahead of the Non-Aligned Movement Summit will affect routes, as I'm going to share here. Now, on the northern bypass, a diversion will be in place at Busega flyover, restricting access to the Kampala-Entebbe Expressway. Additional diversions along the northern bypass at Sentema, Nansana, Bwaise, Kalere, Chebando and Chisasi interchange flyover, and of course slip roads. At the Bwaise flyover, traffic will be redirected to Sir Apollo Kagwa Road and to access the city center. At Impala, traffic will be diverted to Entebbe Highway. At Kisubi, traffic will be redirected to Nakauka Road for access to Kampala City. And at the Kajans flyover, traffic will be diverted to use the Kajans flyover to Lubowa and Zana. Now, moving on, diversions at Serena Chigo traffic lights and Mutungo Chitiko traffic lights and Busabala traffic lights for any vehicles along Munyonyo Spa. Motorists approaching Munyonyo from Gaba Road will be redirected to UCB Road for access to Buziga and Lukuli in Makindye. However, it is important to note that due to the numerous Uganda Police says that the diversions and interruptions will be as and when there is need. For instance, if there is a motorcade that needs to pass through. So what that means is that, yes, some roads will be closed off at a certain point in time, but not entirely. But when and there is need, then there will be diversion. So you should know that as you plan your routes this morning, heading to wherever you go for work. Now, let's jump into traffic and see how this is going to be today. And we are looking at the route that is Entebbe Road. Now, as you can see on your screen, we are starting around Kajansi and would like to see how the traffic situation is along Entebbe Road as you move to the heart of the city. Now, there are green zones at the roundabout in Kajansi heading back to Kampala. As we see right now, the Entebbe Road, the Entebbe Kampala Road seems to be okay as of this morning. There is a little bit of traffic coming through from some feeder roads, but so far so good. Things seem to be smooth as you move along the Kampala Entebbe Highway. Now, still moving ahead in the areas of Lubowa, we see that there is still smooth flow of traffic in this area, and continuing ahead around Zana, there is still smooth flow of traffic in this area. Even the feeder roads are not bringing in as much traffic to the main Entebbe Kampala highway. Now, still continuing ahead into this area, we see that yes, contrary to many worries that people had that this morning is going to have intense traffic, it looks good as of now, but of course we won't know what is going to happen later on. So if you are planning to come to town, this may be the right time for you to hit the road, because there is still smooth flow of traffic from many of the areas I see. Now, as we move along Entebbe Kampala highway, we are starting to encounter a bit of traffic jam. Actually, now it becomes somewhat intense as you move ahead around Stella in Najanankumbi. That's when we start to encounter red zones here, indicative of traffic jam that has now built up in this area. Surrounding roads are also starting to bring in traffic into the main road. Now, when you reach Stella, you realize that there is intense traffic up from the center, the town of in Stella along Najanankumbi on Entebbe Road, and moving ahead, the traffic situation does not ease up, at least for those that are heading the side of Kampala. Now, still moving ahead, we are still in Najanankumbi. We still see that there is a traffic jam going on. Now, approaching the area that is Chibuye, that what you see on your screen is the Chibuye roundabout that has roads that are taking you to Makindye and also bringing you from Makindye, going to Katwe, going to the side of Lubiri Ring Road, and all these roads are bringing in or feeding in traffic jam into the main road. Now already we have traffic jam coming in from Najanankumbi. It starts around Stella up until you reach Chibuye. I see also traffic jam that is coming in from Mobutu Road and heading into Chibuye roundabout. Continuing ahead on the road that is Queensway, there is a smooth flow of traffic along Queensway as you come from the areas of Chibuye and going to town. At least there the road is still okay, but up ahead actually I see that many sections of Queensway have been closed off. So if you were planning to use this section, you may as well now change your direction because you won't be able to go through. This section of the road has been cut off. It has been closed off. Now as we look at the roundabout where the new flyover is, let's look at the area of Nsambya Road and see if you will be able to move in this part of town. As I can see from here on Nsambya Road, some sections are also closed off, but others are open and there is a smooth flow of traffic as you head ahead. Now going still with Mukwano Road, I see smooth flow of traffic here, and of course Press House Road has smooth flow of traffic as well as it feeds into Mukwano Road. Now reaching the area that has 8th Street, there is a bit of traffic jam that is starting to build up in this area, and some of the traffic jam is coming in through from Access Road feeding into the roundabout that is around Mukwano Road. 6th Street is also bringing in a bit of traffic, and of course I see some traffic jam along 8th Street. Now moving ahead still into town, we want to look at how 6th Street is looking, but also the surrounding roads. Some sections of 6th Street have traffic jam coming through, but others have smooth flow of traffic. Well, that's what we had for you this morning, and as we go ahead today, you realize that you need to plan your routes really carefully. At some point in the day, you may be inconvenienced by some blockages here and there, but like the Uganda police said, when it comes to the expressway and the bypass, you will have inconveniences, but not all through the day. It will be when need arises. So you should keep that in your mind as you plan your route today. Now, up next, we are going to have a conversation with the Minister of ICT, that is Chris Baryomunsi. Stay tuned.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Disarmament advocacy. The non-aligned movement's advocacy for disarmament, particularly its opposition to nuclear weapons, gained prominence during the critical moments such as the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. The movement's commitment to a world free of nuclear threats underscores its dedication to global peace and security. The key founding members of NAM. The founding members of the non-aligned movement were prominent leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru of India, Josip Broz Tito of Yugoslavia, Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, and Gamal Abdel Nasser of Egypt. These figures played an instrumental role in shaping the movement's early vision. Their collaboration during the Belgrade Conference in 1961 was rooted in a shared commitment to charting an independent course for their nations amid the intensifying Cold War. Support to the United Nations. The non-aligned movement consistently supported the United Nations as a platform for addressing global issues. The movement emphasizes the importance of multilateralism and diplomatic solutions, aligning with the United Nations mission to promote international cooperation and maintain peace and security. Founding of NAM. The non-aligned movement emerged in 1961 during the Belgrade Conference in Yugoslavia, a historic event that marked the coming together of leaders from newly independent nations seeking to navigate the complex geopolitical landscape of the Cold War. As a response, NAM aimed to provide a platform for countries to assert their autonomy without aligning with either superpower.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Disarmament advocacy. The non-aligned movement's advocacy for disarmament, particularly its opposition to nuclear weapons, gained prominence during the critical moments, such as the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. The movement's commitment to a world free of nuclear threats underscores its dedication to global peace and security. The key founding members of NAM. The founding members of the non-aligned movement were prominent leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru of India, Josip Broz Tito of Yugoslavia, Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, and Gamal Abdel Nasser of Egypt. These figures played an instrumental role in shaping the movement's early vision. Their collaboration during the Belgrade Conference in 1961 was rooted in a shared commitment to charting an independent course for their nations amid the intensifying Cold War. Support to the United Nations. The non-aligned movement consistently supported the United Nations as a platform for addressing global issues. The movement emphasizes the importance of multilateralism and diplomatic solutions, aligning with the United Nations mission to promote international cooperation and maintain peace and security. Founding of NAM. The non-aligned movement emerged in 1961 during the Belgrade Conference in Yugoslavia, a historic event that marked the coming together of leaders from newly independent nations seeking to navigate the complex geopolitical landscape of the Cold War. As a response, NAM aimed to provide a platform for countries to assert their autonomy without aligning with either superpower.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda. Now, this is a special edition of the Non-Allied Movement Summit that is kicking off today in Uganda. That is at the Speak Resort Munyonyo. But don't forget that there are a beehive of activities, and Uganda Broadcasting Corporation will ensure that we give you live coverage of events as they unfold, as guests jet into the country at Munyonyo, where the main event will be running, but also the sideline events like the East Africa Business Forum that will be at Serena, and also not forgetting the Women in Agro Business that will be at Serena Chigo, and all these are opportunities for Uganda. Now, joining me on set this morning, I have the Minister for Information, Communication Technologies and National Guidance, Dr. Crispin Yomosi. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, and good morning, viewers. I'm happy to be here this morning.
Now, Doctor, to begin with, when you move around town, of course, there are signs of welcoming visitors. You'll see the paintings, the infrastructure, and all that. To an ordinary Ugandan, one question that comes in their mind when we talk about the Non-Allied Movement Summit, they ask, what is this about? We've talked about it, but just from the Honorable Minister.
Yes, thank you very much. And good morning, viewers, once again. NAM. You know, now the whole world is focusing on Kampala and Uganda as a country. NAM, as the name stands, is Non-Aligned Movement. This is basically an association of 120 countries. It dates back to 1961. At that time, the world was divided along two blocks. There was the US and then the Soviet Union. And the US espoused capitalism, while the Soviet Union, socialism. So the world got divided along those blocks. Are you for the West or the East? And now these countries came together to say, no, 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 no. For us, we are non-aligned. We neither subscribe to the American ideology or the Soviet Union ideology, what is called the Cold War then. So that's how the countries came together. And although the Cold War later on collapsed, those bloc politics of Soviet Union and the US collapsed, but the objectives for which NAM was established remained relevant. For instance, NAM fought hard to ensure that countries which were under colonization can get independence in Africa, in Asia, and many parts of the world. And since then, the countries have remained together to negotiate and push for particular causes, be it in the area of politics, be it in the area of socio-economic development. So that's why the countries come together as a big bloc. They constitute 55% of the world population, so over half. So it's a big group which you cannot ignore. In terms of international platforms, it comes second to the UN General Assembly in terms of magnitude. So it's a very big bloc, a grouping of countries that come together to push for particular interests. And therefore, we are extremely fortunate as a country that this time around, Uganda is the one hosting this conference, and it's going to assume the chairmanship of this group of 120 countries. And also not forget that we're having two summits in one. We have the NAM and also the G77 plus China, or what we call the South-South Summit.
Now, what does this mean for Uganda to host the 19th Non-Aligned Movement Summit?
First of all, it means the respect the international community accords to Uganda. And it's a sign of confidence in the country, the trust that the whole world has in Uganda. Contrary to the propaganda which has been on, that Uganda abuses people's rights, that Uganda, there has been a smear campaign in the global West about Uganda. But this goes to dismantle that kind of propaganda, that on the contrary, the international community values Uganda, has a lot of trust in Uganda, has confidence in the leadership and the people of Uganda. That's why of the 120 countries which constitute this NAM, they all agreed that Uganda hosts. So it means Uganda is making progress in terms of being a peaceful country, being a stable country, but also in terms of growth of infrastructure, because they come and assess to see whether you have enough accommodation, enough facilities to host such a conferences, is there adequate security. They assess all those things, and we manage to pass through. So all of us as Ugandans, we should feel proud that of the many countries, we are the ones hosting.
Yes. That said, Honorable Minister, yes, we should feel proud. We have the hotels accredited, the security, but the ordinary Ugandan.
Yes.
Let's look at the long-term and short-term benefits, or direct and indirect.
Yes. Yes, that's the question we've been asked by many Ugandans, to how do we benefit as Ugandans? Well, in answering that, first of all, it is always good to get visitors, even in our ordinary homes. The mere fact that we are getting visitors, something very positive, even before you get any benefits from them. But we could look at this through either direct and or immediate benefits, and also the medium long term. In terms of the immediate benefits, is that we are expecting close to 5,000 international guests coming into the country, and already they have begun coming in. Today is the opening day for the meeting of the technical people. These people are staying in our hotels. Therefore, those in the business of hotels definitely get money from the visitors, because they're not sleeping for free. Number two, the days they will be here, they are going to eat our food, because you can't carry the food from your country. You have to consume the food that you find here. So that means there will be a trickle-down effect. There are people who sell and supply these hotels, the eggs, the milk, the carrots, the vegetables. They come from our farmers and eventually end up in these hotels, and therefore they get the money. Now, these people are going to attend the conferences, but also they will move around and do some shopping, buy crafts, buy many more items. Like whenever we travel outside this country, we get time to do shopping. And as you shop, you are spending money, you are leaving money in those communities. So even here, we must be prepared to tap into the resources that these people are ready to spend. Like there are people from outside who come here and they get excited at looking at the borders, and they just want to go on the border. So there will be areas where they will spend money. So through that, Ugandans directly benefit from this conference. Like we've been doing a lot of repairs of the roads, construction of the convention center, and you know the multiplier effect of construction. When you government, we've been working out arrangements to promote exports. And that's why you have had the president and all of us in the government say we should not sell raw materials in their form, but rather we should add value to our products, be it minerals, be it agricultural products, be whatever we produce, so that we can export all these items when they are processed. So we need markets where to sell these items. And where are the markets? These are the people who are coming. So in addition to the summit or the general meeting, There are going to be a number of events, like you already said, the Business and Trade Summit, the Women in Agro Industry, all those opportunities of negotiating and engaging the partners from all over the world to get the markets for our products. So we expect by the end of the conference to have got some deals with some countries. So there will be lots of bilateral engagements, Ugandans engaging different delegations with a view of exploring possibility of getting markets in those countries for our products, be it tea, be it coffee, be it minerals, be it whatever we produce as a country. Then also, we expect that, because now everybody is talking about Uganda globally, we expect to get many investors that come here to invest in this country. We've been trying to look for investors to come and put factories, put industries which will create employment opportunities for our young people, but also help us to add value to our products. So we expect to get investments, so investment and trade deals. We also expect to have many more visitors in terms of tourists. One of the areas where Uganda gets income is tourism. And that's why we've been making an appeal that let's be as hospitable as possible, let's be as welcoming as possible, so that we create a lasting impression on these visitors, so that they don't only end up with this summit, but they come back and even persuade many more others to come, because tourist is a big foreign exchange earner. And therefore, in the medium, long term, we expect more trade, more business opportunities, investments, tourism, but also in terms of diplomatic standing, the profile of the country. It's very important for the world to look at Uganda as a respected state, as a respected country. And that helps if you are negotiating for financing, if you are giving your voice, your opinion on international matters, then you become a respected country. So Uganda won't be the same after hosting these conferences. So there are very many benefits that we can talk of, and therefore all of us as Ugandans, we should unite and feel proud and put out the best, so that we create an international impression to all these guests who are here.
Now, Honorable, going back to the summit that is commencing today with the technical team, what are some of the topical issues that are likely to be discussed?
Well, like I said, the meetings are going to be in 3 tranches. Beginning today, beginning a meeting of technical people. And then thereafter, there will be a meeting of the ministers of foreign affairs. And then that will feed into the summits or the meetings of heads of state and government, the NAM, and then also G77 plus China. Well, there are successive meetings which take place, and now the discussions in Kampala will be following the previous discussions in the last NAM meetings. And at the end of the day, there will be an outcome document and a Kampala declaration which will be issued. But basically, in a broad sense, NAM looks at the 2 key areas: issues of political affairs, politics, stability of countries, the international peace and the political situation. And that's why they have a committee on the political affairs. Then also the other side is the socio-economic issues. Socio-economic issues. So those are the broad areas that the NAM looks at. If you talk of the political issues, for instance, there is a committee on Palestine. You know, one of the areas which NAM looks at are like issues of stability, issues of politics, issues like international peace, issues like terrorism. All those issues, they will be discussed in the NAM countries, what is happening. Then the other aspect, like I've said, they look at socio-economic affairs, things like development financing, because the countries which constitute NAM are largely developing countries, although some of them have since moved like the Asian tigers, but basically we are looking at the developing countries. So how do they access multilateral funding, international funding? What are the key issues affecting the development in our areas, in our developing countries? How do we learn from each other? South-South cooperation. In the countries like Asian countries which have made progress, how do we transfer skills, technology to countries which are still behind? Well, the issues which constitute the kind of debates that take place. Issues of the debt burden. How do we handle the debt crisis that sometimes particular countries find
many developing
in
countries.
Developing countries, all those issues.
Whom are members of
absolutely.
This, yes.
Issues like climate change, which are now topical and affect all of us. So all those issues are part of what constitutes the discussion. And at the end of the day, there will be an outcome document that clearly defines the kind of direction we need to take.
Now, looking at some of the fundamental objectives of NAM, Doctor, in this day and age, for example, that is defending international peace and security by solving or resolving disputes through peaceful means. We are at a time right now where we have a number of countries that are having conflicts. And some regional bodies come up with standby forces and all that. When you look at NAM, it is through peaceful means. Is this still a practical way?
Yes, NAM, first of all, NAM answers to different bodies that do exist, like the regional economic communities, like say East African Community, like SADC, ECOWAS, then African Union. So you'll find there are other bodies that discuss these very issues, and then their positions are taken to NAM. NAM, like we have said, does not promote conflicts, but rather advocates for peaceful coexistence, respect for sovereignty. And when you look at what's happening, like say in Africa, where in the part of Western Africa you see coups and military takeovers, and you see conflicts sometimes between countries, those are the issues which remain relevant today. And therefore, when you get a voice from a grouping of 120 countries, that voice has to be respected. And that's why we say, although NAM started looking at the Cold War politics, and the Cold War politics since ended, but still the objectives for which NAM was initiated and what NAM stands for remain very relevant today. Because when you look at the international order, there are still these conflicts between the countries and amongst countries. You still see the Western world trying to have an undue influence on the developing countries, and all of the issues which have to be discussed. So it remains relevant. NAM remains relevant to our situations.
Since 1961, when it was officially launched, now when you look at one of the issues, decolonization, fighting imperialism, and ensuring that these are countries that chose to take, not to align with any of the powers by then, that is the Soviet Union and the USA. Today still, as we are going to have the 19th summit in Uganda, we still have these as challenges. We still see many countries, much as they attained their independence, still their political affairs. Take Uganda, for instance, what we had with when we passed the homosexuality law. Now, at such a time, where is NAM's voice in addressing such issues?
Yes, although we attained independence, but these colonialists continued with what we call neo-colonial projects, trying to assert their influence and country, it may be challenging. But if you have a collective voice that brings together different countries, then you build that collective strength. And therefore, going forward, it is important to strengthen communities like the East African community so that you are able to negotiate and voice your concerns as a bloc. The African Union must have a voice so that some issues we can say, we as Africans, our belief and position is this, and then even NAM, which brings together many more countries, should be able to say, our position is this. That's how like the G77 started, because these are UN member countries that came together, largely the developing countries, to say, within the UN, we shall be taking common positions, because what is of benefit and interest to the global West may not necessarily be of interest to the developing countries. So the countries came together and said, no, during the UN meetings and discussions, we shall be coming together as a bloc of South, the global South, to take common decisions. And that's how like the G77 plus China started. And the countries have since grown to 135 or 134 plus China. It's a huge bloc so that you can negotiate and have common positions. So that way, it gives us strength to resist some of these imperialist sort of positions that are taken by the global West, trying to infringe on our own sovereignty.
Honorable Minister, well, time seems to be flying, but also we know that now today is the kicking off. The visitors are here, but give us a general picture on preparedness.
Yes, in terms of preparedness, we are ready. We are prepared, and the summits are taking off today. Like I said, we are starting with the technical officers from these various NAM countries, and they are ready in Munyonyo. One, we've worked on infrastructure. You've seen the repairs and rehabilitation we have done on the roads, the beautification which we have done from the airport through the roads to Munyonyo.
Just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here. In the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's what you feel in the gentle caress of tropical wind from the mountaintops. And the glow in your heart from a warm neighborly invite. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking to the taste of food that takes you on a journey. In the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa.
Edward Yomos. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, and good morning, viewers. I'm happy to be here this morning.
Now, Doctor, to begin with, when you move around town, of course, there are signs of welcoming visitors. You'll see the paintings, the infrastructure, and all that. To an ordinary Ugandan, one question that comes in their mind when we talk about the Non-Allied Movement Summit, they ask, what is this about? We've talked about it, but just from the Honorable Minister.
Yes, thank you very much, and good morning, viewers, once again. NAM, you know, now the whole world is focusing on Kampala and Uganda as a country. NAM, as the name stands, is Non-Aligned Movement. This is basically an association of 120 countries. It dates back to 1961. At that time, the world was divided along two blocks. There was the US and then the Soviet Union. And the US espoused
in this ecosystem.
The diversity and the range of wildlife is something really special.
The channel is a breeding area. We have preserved it purposely to allow fish have a chance of breeding. It is also a major drinking source. That's why we see elephants. An adult elephant is able to take more than 200 liters of water. I like my job. I like animal behavior, it's interacting with people.